Hi everybody, and welcome once again to Seven Rivers Talk. I'm your host, Rick Wilson. Well, we have a very interesting program for you today. We're going to be talking about some of the scams that you may or may not experience on the internet these days. We have a young lady with us today whose specialty is technology, and we're going to talk to her about that and about some of the scams that you're going to want to watch out for that may show up on your email or even your smartphone. So stick around, everybody. This is going to be an interesting show you're going to want to watch. We'll be back with more in just a moment on Seven Rivers Talk.
You're on air with Ryan Seacrest.
All right, Sis and Nate, what's up?
What's up?
You're listening to On Air with Ryan Seacrest on Mix 96.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Friday night.
This is Pop Crush Nights. I'm Lisa Page. I feel like I'm a little bit more awake tonight.
I'm only yours, can't you see? I'm
Mix 96, Cartman in the morning.
ain't got gas, but I got you, baby.
Mix 96 with Reed Magnum.
Dollar bills to have fun tonight.
Welcome back, everyone, to Seven Rivers Talk. I'm your host, Rick Wilson. With me on the set today, young lady by the name of Kathy Helgerson. And Kathy, you have your own business called SimpleSteps to Technology, right?
I do indeed.
Really? And this is basically you help people with technology, right?
That's what I do, yes.
Okay. Now tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start this business?
I had worked at Deegan Berglund for 39 years, and that job suddenly ended. And took a year to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, and decided by helping a resident that lives where my mom lives at Brookdale that I was helping her with her computer, and I thought, this is what I want to do.
Oh.
And so I went to the Job Center of Wisconsin and talked to my mentor there, who encouraged me to go to the SBDC at UWL.
And what is the SPCD? SB Small Business
Development Center.
Gotcha. Small Development Center.
Yes, at UWL.
Okay. All right.
It's an awesome resource for people that want to start a business. And from there, I've never stopped. I knew that's what I wanted to do. That was my passion, and I will be in business 2 years in August of this year.
So about 2 years. Now, what kinds of things do you find people really need a lot of help with from a technical standpoint?
Smartphones.
Really?
And
setting up their
smartphone and making it easier to use. That's what I do. I simplify technology for my clients.
Well, don't people when they purchase the smartphone, don't the people they buy it from, the vendor, help them set it up?
Very little.
Oh, okay.
Very little.
Okay.
And it's overwhelming to get a phone, and there's a lot of settings that need to be looked at when you get a smartphone.
Yeah.
And that people don't realize they need to look at until there's an issue with it.
Yeah. What kinds of settings are really important to be taken a look at? Privacy settings? Privacy
settings are very important, and notifications that you're getting. People get notifications because they think they need to, but it's a distraction to get all those notifications when you sign up with an app.
Yeah, my phone beeps all the time. Is that the kind of thing you can hear? My phone's beeping all the time. Why is it doing that?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about then, yeah. So setting up smartphones, but also with computers.
Computers, too. Yep, laptops and desktops and printers. I install printers for people, and I have a lot of fun with my clients. I make technology fun, and something seniors aren't expecting, but I can make happen.
Is it mostly seniors you find yourself working with, or?
It is mostly seniors.
Okay, all right. And you're basically talking about software fixes. You don't repair disk drives, or do you?
Correct. No,
okay.
I don't do computer repairs.
When you run into that, do you have someone you refer them to?
I refer them to Orange Computer Solutions.
Okay.
The Orange guys are my family, extended family.
Okay.
And if I can't help someone with something, there's been occasions where I call Orange, and the guys will walk me through what I need to do.
Well, that's interesting. And so you're really helping a lot of elderly people learn how to get on the internet and safely cruise the internet. Huh?
Right.
Wow, that's pretty nice. So now, one of the things that you help people with are some of these scams that are out there, right?
Correct.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the scams that you've seen or that people should be watching out for?
Oh, my goodness.
There's a lot of them, is there?
It seems to be expanding greatly in the last few months even, I would say.
Yeah.
I have a 94-year-old client that was scammed. She had a pop-up on her screen, a Windows pop-up. And it looks very Microsoft official. And she had a friend with her, and they decided to call that 800 number and we're on the phone 3 hours with this company, and she signed something saying she was going to pay him $300 and some
For
what she thought she had to do to keep her computer safe.
Oh, okay. That was the scam. But she spent 3 hours talking to them about
Yeah, they were on her computer, remotely accessing it.
Oh, for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Probably looking for...
Possibly. According to Orange Computer, they say they're just pretending. They're not really doing anything on your computer because there's not ways to access personal information. Not too many ways, I should say. And so I helped this woman because she had no family in town. I went to the bank with her to get a new card because...
So they got $300.
Yes.
Basically. Okay.
And so we stopped the payment, but she ended up in the end, she said, Kathy, I can't sleep at night. I need to just pay this so it goes away.
Why? Did they keep bugging her? or
Yes.
what? Really?
Yeah.
Via email or telephone or?
Mail. U.S. mail.
Oh, U.S. mail. Wow. So that's just something people should be on the lookout for then is an email that looks like it's official from
It's
Microsoft.
a pop-up, a sudden pop-up on your screen.
Yeah. Oh, how do you tell? I mean, how do you know that this isn't something real? I mean, what do you do?
You should clear your browser and restart, and it should be gone. It should be done.
Okay.
So if you ever question something, is this real or not, call me.
Okay. All right.
or just clear your browsing history, and it should be gone.
But the main thing that you shouldn't do is call the number that comes up with the pop-up, right?
Right. Never be scared, like, I have to call this person or I have to call this number anytime. If somebody's scaring you into doing something, that's an alarm.
You know, one of the scams that I got a while back was I got an email that supposedly was from the daughter of a very good friend of mine.
Okay.
And she and her family were in London. Have you heard this one?
No.
Oh, she and her family were in London, and they had been robbed, and their passports had been taken, and all their money had been taken, and I can't get a hold of my dad. Could you please send us $1,500? We're in dire straits. You know, and it sounded legitimate. You know, I thought, this is a friend of mine. You know? And I've heard of other people getting it that it says it's from their grandchild or their grandson
I've heard
or something
that.
like that. You know, well, interestingly enough, I had just seen this girl at church, you know, the day before or 2 days before, so I knew that she wasn't in London. So I actually forwarded that to her dad, who's a good friend of mine too, and said, "Gee, look at this," you know. And he said, "Oh no, don't do anything there." But that's another scam.
It is. There's a lot of seniors that have been scammed with a grandson phone call.
Yeah.
That they're in jail and.
Yep. Now, you told me that there was one that you'd worked with that had lost thousands of dollars.
$11,000.
Tell us about that.
It was a company that was pretending that they were going to protect his computer, and over several months, they would come onto his computer and pretend like they were doing things, and he had no idea what they were doing because he didn't understand. Right. And they eventually told him that his account, he had overpaid them, and that they needed to refund him money. So they inquired of his bank account and routing number, and then they told him that didn't work. So he gave him a second bank account and routing number, and $3,000 was taken out of one account and $8,000 out of another.
Oh my goodness.
And it gave him his Social Security number.
Oh no, so they could steal his identity too.
Oh yeah, and talk about work to get your identity back.
Yeah.
It's crazy how long and how many phone calls and contacts you have to make to get your identity back.
Well, these people are very professional at doing this. They really know what, I mean, the people who are scamming you, they really have, and they fish it out there. Is that the right term? Fishing?
Right. Yes.
So they're just looking for people who might respond, right?
Exactly.
And if you do respond, then you could be hooked on this thing, and who knows how much you could lose out of it, right?
Exactly.
Well, it makes so. How do you go on the internet nowadays and be safe? You know, how do you know?
That's a very good question because of them getting smarter and smarter. One thing that I recommend people have on their computer is malware bytes to prevent some of the malware.
Okay.
And CCleaner is something that you can run every week to clean up your browsing history. And
now, why do you want to clean your browsing history? Is that
Because in case there was something in their website you went to or an ad you clicked on that might,
Pop-up or an ad or something that you want to get rid of?
yeah,
Okay,
that you should get rid of because it could be malicious.
Oh, okay.
So those are good things to have.
Now, when you run Malwarebytes and it says it's found something,
It quarantines them, and then you can
what does that mean? It's quarantined.
that it won't harm your computer because they've quarantined it.
So
and
it's still on the computer, but
right,
it's kind of
and then you delete it.
Then you can delete it. How do you do so?
There's an option. It'll say these items are quarantined. Do you want to remove them? And then you remove it.
And then they completely remove them. They're gone. Okay. All right. Well, I tell you, it's just almost scary what you can run into on the internet these days. The problems that you can have if you're not careful.
Right.
You know? One of the things that I do is if I get something that's unusual, I will check to see exactly who it came from, because sometimes it looks like it's coming from someone you know.
Right.
But then when you check that email address, you realize that that's not that person's email address.
Right.
You know? Where is this coming from?
I had that happen last week I had 2 people that have Mac computers that actually had something come up on their computers, and you usually hear Mac is so secure that those things don't happen.
Right.
And so I was very surprised. One of them was from Gmail, and you need to open this email today. And when she clicked on it, her screen went black, and started talking to her, telling you have to call this number for help.
Yeah. Was it ransomware?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you hear that a lot about ransomware.
Yeah.
And that came through Gmail, huh?
It did.
Wow.
It was supposed Gmail. It wasn't really.
Oh, it wasn't
Gmail.
really, huh?
No, and when you look at it closely, you can tell.
Yeah, they spelled it G-E-E.
No, they.
Gmail or something.
It was. Yeah. It was. You can tell. Just.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of it that I can share.
Well, we're going to talk a lot more about some other things here, so stick with us, folks, because we're going to take a little break. Lots to talk about here, scams and such that you might run into. We'll be back with more right after this.
You're on air with Ryan Seacrest.
All right, Sis-Nate, what's up?
What's up?
You're listening to On Air with Ryan Seacrest on Mix 96.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Friday night.
This is Pop Crush Nights. I'm Lisa Page. I feel like I'm a little bit more awake tonight.
I'm only you. Can't you see? I'm
Mix 96, Cartman in the morning.
You got gas, but I got you, baby.
Mix 96 with Reed Magnum.
Got a bill to have fun tonight.
Welcome back, everyone, to Seven Rivers Talk. I'm your host, Rick Wilson. Very interesting program today with Kathy Helgerson, the owner of SimpleSteps to Technology. Now, Kathy will help you with your computer or your smartphone, help you set it up, make it easier to run. But what's interesting today is some of the scams that she's telling us about. Now, tell me again now. You were during the break there, we were talking about this scam where a guy lost $14,000. Tell us about that.
Man went to the gym and he put his belongings in his locker, including his wallet. And when he came back, he
Locked it all up.
He
right?
locked it up.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he noticed it was open, and he thought, well, I'm pretty sure I locked it. And so he went through his billfold, and everything looked in order. 3 weeks later, he got a bill for $14,000.
Credit card bill.
Credit card bill for $14,000. And so he called the credit card company, and he said that those weren't his charges. And then they asked him if he was sure that it wasn't stolen, and he said no, it wasn't stolen. And then he went and looked in his billfold, and in it he found his credit card, but it was an expired card. It wasn't his, but it looked exactly like his credit card.
You know, and sometimes we keep our credit cards in our billfold in such a way where you can kind of just see the top of it.
Right.
You know? So when you actually pull it out, there's the wrong name, I assume, and an expired card.
Exactly.
Oh my
And so he had to pay $9,000 because he didn't. It was 3 weeks later, so they said that he didn't report it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's something you want to check on a regular basis then, I guess.
Right.
I mean, unless you use your card
Right.
fairly regularly.
Right.
You know, otherwise you want to check on it. Gee whiz. I keep that credit card. That credit card, I keep it at home. Unless I have something I really want to go out and purchase,
Right.
you know.
And I signed up myself for text alerts anytime my card isn't
Yep.
present and it's used, but there was an option where you can get it anytime it's used. And I thought, well, I don't want to get notified every time it's
Every
used,
time
but
it's
this is an example of
Maybe
why
you
you
should've.
should. Why not?
You
It's just
should've,
a
yeah.
quick text and you know you just did it.
Yeah, and so you can ignore it.
So I recommend that anyone with any credit cards that they call their credit card company and make sure they're set up for text alerts or
That's a
any
great
charges
idea.
that go through their account,
That's
because
a
that would
great
have
idea.
prevented this.
Well, and I know that my bank is very good about that. One time when we left town to go somewhere and used the credit card about 200 miles away, and then when we went to use it, you know, another 300 miles down the road, it wouldn't work. they had shut it down.
Oh.
So we called the bank and said, what's the problem? And they said, well, we thought there was some unusual use of your credit card, so we shut it off.
So they're protecting
And I
you.
said, well, it's us, So from that time on, whenever we go out of town, we call our credit card companies first
Right.
and say, we're going to be out of town. Here's where we're going. We're going to be using the card here and here. So they say, well, thank you very much. We appreciate letting. And then we don't have a problem. But
Right.
it seems like banks and credit card companies are keeping an eye out for that sort of thing.
They are. They catch a lot of it, but I think getting text alerts is another great way to protect yourself 100%.
Yeah. I got another email the other day from somebody. It said that the payment was ready to be sent. They just needed me to click on this and then we'll answer a few questions, and we will get the payment sent right to your bank account. And I thought, what payment are they talking about? But you could tell the way that they were, some of the words and stuff, were not properly used.
Right.
So instead of submit, S-U-B-M-I-T, they spelled it S-U-M-M-I-T-T. Submit.
Yes.
So you knew that there was something wrong here, so I just immediately
Right.
deleted that.
Right.
But so some of them are not quite as professional as some of the other
Right.
ones. That
So
you might get.
really look at the email, who it's coming from,
Yeah.
and look for capitals where there shouldn't be capital letters and spaces where there shouldn't be spaces, and delete the email. Don't open it if you have any doubt.
Yeah, and they're so good at tempting you to try to get you to open it. Don't open it, and don't open the file that's attached.
Right, right.
Never open an attached file unless you truly know who it is. I've even sent the person who sent it to me another email saying, "Did you send me this email?" And just to find out if it was really legit or not.
Right.
But, what else? You were telling me about another one for Norwest Bank, right?
Wells Fargo?
Wells Fargo, I'm sorry.
Wells Fargo. Yeah, my husband last night, coincidentally, received a text message from Wells Fargo, and it said, let me see here.
Interestingly, folks, my wife got the same text.
Your Wells Fargo account is locked. Please call now. 844-204-4090. And the alert code is like a mile long, as you can see.
Wow.
And so I called that number, and it said press 1, and I did, and then it asked me to enter my 16-digit, I think, account number, which we don't have a Wells Fargo account, so.
So you didn't? Yeah, right, obviously.
So I didn't. I hung up. But apparently, because I did a Google search of that phone number, and there's been over 700 complaints in the last 3 days. So this one's rampant.
Yeah, well, I've had this before. My wife got that one last night, but I've had this one before, and I actually called Wells Fargo. Rather than calling the number on the email, I called Wells Fargo and asked them if there was a problem, and they said, not that we can see. Why? And I explained to them what I'd gotten, and they said, oh, that's a scam, Mr. Wilson. Don't do that,
Right.
So ever since then, I see something like that, I delete it immediately or ignore it if it's on my cell phone.
Yeah, it's a phishing text.
Yep.
Yep, I had a friend that got email from Citizens Bank, who she doesn't bank with.
Oh.
And when you looked at it closely, you could see the logo is not clear. And
Yeah.
And then I called Citizens Bank, and I said, you might want to let your patrons know that this is out there.
Yeah.
No, they weren't interested.
Well, and aren't the banks and credit card companies really good about this? I mean, if they want to help you catch these people, don't they?
Yes, I would think they would, but I was surprised they didn't want me to forward that email to them so they could see what was out there and alert their customers.
Yeah. Now, another one that sometimes gets hacked is your Facebook account. Have you had people that have had that problem?
I had a client that had been so-called dating someone for a year, a lonely person, and he was going to come here and marry her, and he was fake. You can take his picture from his Facebook page and put it in Google Images, paste it there, and he came up as being a fraud.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And I asked her to delete him and that he's not real, and she said, well, I can't. I love him.
Oh, no.
Very sad.
That's
Very sad story.
Yeah. But she'd been talking to him for a year.
For a year.
Huh?
And I said, have you met him? No. He's coming, though. And then he asked her for her bank account, and she gave him her bank account.
Oh, no.
Well, actually, what he did, he had her open a new bank account. And so she called me frantic. I hadn't helped her for a few months, but she called me frantic saying, I got to get access to this new account that I have because I have money being wired to me. So he wired her $1,000. And then when we checked on the bank account, it had a negative $48 for overdraft on the account because he wanted her to deposit her other account into the new account, and then he could get funds from it because he had all the information.
Yeah.
And then he pulled back his $1,000 pretend money.
Wow, I had a similar thing happen to a friend of mine who was selling something on Craigslist, and they said, okay, we'll buy it at this agreed price. So they sent him a check, and the check was for more than the amount agreed upon. And they called him up, said, "Oh, we made a mistake. We sent you, too much money. Could you send us a refund on that? If you'll just tell you what, keep $50 for your hassle, and then send us a refund on it, would you?" So he did that, and then the bank called him and said, "The check you deposited bounced."
Right.
Because they have to up to 30 days, don't they, to rescind the check?
Yes.
So he ended up out. I forget how much money it was, but he ended up losing a bunch of money because of it.
Correct.
So that's another scam they can get to. There's so many out there.
We could have a 3-hour program on this.
Oh my goodness, we could. What else? Do you have any other ones that we haven't touched on yet? We're running out of time here.
Okay, all right. The Gmail one.
Yeah.
Let me see. We have sent an email that must be read, and this was on a Mac computer also. So a black screen pops up, a talking black screen, and it says, "Recovery, your Apple PC ran into a problem. It needs to be replaced. Sorry. And a component of your hard drive has stopped working due to installation of malicious software. And actually, malicious software was installed on the computer. Oh, okay. So I called Apple support to go through with the steps to make sure we fix this problem. And it took about 40 minutes to fix the issue. And there was malicious malware on the computer. From 2 different sources. One of them was osx.genio, and the other one was Epolife. Were both installed on the computer by clicking on that Gmail.
Wow. So even just opening the email did it. You didn't
just
have to
opening, no attachments.
You didn't have to open an attachment, just opening the email.
Just opening the email.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's just scary, isn't it? What else?
Well, we have something that people can do. Have I Been Pawned? It's PWNED.
And this is a website.
Yeah. Right? So Have I Been Pawned, I think, .com. And you type in your email address, very easy, and then you find out if your email account has been compromised. And I actually found out on my own account that my personal email had been compromised by Forbes in February of 2014.
By a magazine, Forbes?
Forbes, yeah, because I went to their website because I was researching things.
Oh, okay.
And so it was 2 years after that I discovered that my email account was compromised, and nothing had happened to me in that 2 years, so I wasn't too concerned. But if that indeed would happen, that you have something, that you should contact the company to see what steps you should take.
So it wasn't the Russians then?
It might have been.
Might have been. Okay, all right.
And then the pop-up of a Windows support. Call this 800 number on a Mac. That's a new one. I've seen it on Windows, but never on a Mac until last week. So
call this number right now.
Right.
Save your computer.
And my client called, and he said, "But Kathy, I hung up when they asked for the money." So that was good.
You did that. That's good.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I tell you, there are so many of them out there. Like you said, we could do a 3-hour program on some of these scams. But the big thing, Kathy, is, if you don't know who it is, if you don't know what it is, don't open it.
Right. Same with phone calls. If you don't know who it is, don't answer it. And if they don't leave a message, block that number. If they don't have the courtesy to leave a message, it's probably bad. Or you can type that phone number into your browser and see if other people have reported that phone number for issues.
You know, the one I get all the time is they're calling me to ask me about the warranty on my car.
Yes. I get tons of warranty calls.
And it's funny because when you look at where it's coming from, one time it's from New York, the next time it's from New Jersey, then it's from California.
Yeah,
then
it's all over.
It's the same scam, but it's coming. It makes it look like it's coming from all of these different places around. And
when you type that in your browser, you'll see that is a car warranty scam. And so you know to block it.
Yeah.
But I think I get like 2 or 3 a week from that.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So folks, just be careful. Now, and in the event that you need some help with your computer or your cell phone, call Kathy. Her little program, her company is SimpleSteps to Technology. Do you have a phone number?
I do, 608-317-3835.
You can call her and she can come over. You come over.
Yes.
Right? And help you with your computer, help you set up your cell phone, whatever it may be. So technology is what you're all about, right?
It is indeed.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope we've shared some things with you folks at home that maybe will help you avoid some of these scams and help you to stay out of trouble. And we didn't, ransomware is another thing that's going on right now.
Right.
Big companies are getting hit with this, so don't open it if you don't know who it is,
Exactly.
All right, so until next time, everybody, thanks for joining us today on Seven Rivers Talk, and thank you, Kathy Helgerson, for joining us and sharing this information with us. Till next time, I'm Rick Wilson. Have a great day.